the overall feeling? I guess first day of school vibes.
I'm excited, man. Excited. It's like, new kid, first day back to school, and it's like all the anticipation of seeing the guys, seeing the work that they've put in to get them to this point, and gives us a chance to stack another block, in the building process of what we want to become and who we want to be.
What do you want to get out of the first day? I guess just what do you want them to learn and accomplish just today?
Well, yesterday we had practice 0, and what we did was we gave it gives us an opportunity to come out today and maximize our efforts and making sure that the newer guys and the younger guys, they understand where to go and how to get there. And then yesterday we practiced with some intensity so they can see exactly what we want there, and then some intent so they understand exactly what we want out of it and what they should be getting out of it. So if we can finish today's practice, obviously we always want to be 100% healthy. If we can do that and have everybody just take another step forward in the direction of them getting better, which is us getting better and the team getting better.
Have you seen some of the guys?
A pleasant good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Carlos Brown. That was Coach Marshall Falk. First day, first practice of fall camp. The Jaguars are practicing hard. And already in the chat room, someone says same team. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a totally different team, totally different attitude. Guest today, Coach Jailyn Rogers, Southern University women's bowling coach. She'll join us at about 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is in hour number 2. Here's what's trending on today's show. Southern University continues their fall camp. And today at 6 p.m., they have a first full scrimmage with pads and everything, 6 p.m. Tonight. That's what's trending, a short list, but now we're going to bring in the panel one by one. Afternoon, Willa Brown.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning.
And good morning, Coach Pettaway.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, we saw a little bit of Coach Falk going through their camp. Any thoughts?
For me, it's just the matriculation process. I mean, it's hard to tell, your first few days of camp. For us, this is our second week, just wrapping up here. I'm at Spinks Castle Stadium, our first scrimmage, but you really don't know until you get the pads on, you get the acclimation. So I think it's still early for Coach Falk and really a lot of teams around the country right now.
Coach Pettaway?
I think early on, you can expect him to say what he's saying now, because it's still early. The kids got to get used to him. The staff got to get used to the kids. I think that's part for the course. And I know Willa knows more about that starting off in football, but the start of practice for most coaches is going to be about the same. You understanding your learning your players and getting them to see how you plan on conducting your practices. That sort of thing.
It is still early. And, as Coach Pettaway was saying, it's coach speak now. Mm-hmm. Coach Falk is saying and probably trying to do all the right things, that sort of thing. But, it's early in camp and, kids are trying to, keep saying, find out where the bathroom is. They know where the bathroom is, but, they got to learn Coach Falk and the coaching staff. And, it just seems like from the clip you showed the other day, Carlos, the offensive line coach coaching them pretty hard out there. Mm-hmm. And so, I've always been a fan of being coached up hard. And so if everybody else is taking that same path, then you can expect some positive things to come out of the entire situation.
Yeah, it's part of the process. Early on, everyone is getting acclimated to each other. But then you start finding some things when the pads come on for the first time. Mm-hmm. Willa, you probably know some people look all glory, all American. Mm-hmm. But then you'll find out when those pads come on, because this is what you're going to be seeing, getting used to those pads And then, so it's gonna be hot.
It'll make
Your
you look
microphone
for
broke up.
another sport. That's for sure. It'll make you want to try another sport. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right. See, it's all easy when you're in shorts. When you put them pads on, that's when the separation start coming in.
Well, Cedric Thomas said
Go ahead,
Cedric
Coach
Thomas said the other day there are no T-shirt All-Americans. when you put the pants on, that's when you go, separate the wheat from the chaff.
Well spoken, Charles. Well spoken.
and then you get to the part, before school starts. Then you get to the dog days of fall camp. Then you just got to push through. Everybody kind of hits that little lag. You got to push through, and then the reward is, then you have week one.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into that week before then, everything's already wrapped. That's the good thing about week one. You prepared for that from a schematic, schemes. You're just pushing your team through. And it's going to be interesting. We'll try to pull that clip up, but that's Coach Penn. If you remember him from the NFL, he was nasty. He was mean. One time I was watching him in the game and he got tossed because of the little extracurricular activities. So he's going to coach, I guess, how he played, but he's pushing him hard. And most of the questions I get asked a lot of times is about the offensive line and how they're coming along. It's a process, but I know they're going to be physical. And the offensive coordinator, Coach Merchant, he basically said they're going to run the football. You love that one, Wheeler. But don't get weak about it. They're still going to throw. And then later, Coach Falk talked about if teams are going to kind of try to take away the run game and we had an opportunity, we're gonna throw it. So down to the quarterbacks. Since the last time we talked, they basically going through, and he kind of changed his stance about it. He didn't want to give out too much information. Remember last week I said they were going to announce a quarterback right after maybe a week or two of fall camp or a week. Now they're going to wait because, Alabama State, and then also somebody on the panel might sneak and tell something we don't know. But it's down to three. Wyatt McCauley, JUCO player that's in for this first year, Christopher Johnson, and then Ashton Struthers. Now, somehow I think, if I ask Charles, I think he's going to push for Ashton Struthers, who from all accords have improved, but we'll see. We'll see. But it's down to those three. And then 7 quarterbacks at camp. I talked to Raul. He is moving over to wide receiver and tight end. But Coach Falk did say they've got so much talent in that room, you'll see them all over the field in different positions at times. So we'll see. Alabama State coming up in less than a month, guys. What a way to start off the season.
Well, I wouldn't expect him to name anybody, up until as close to game time as he can possibly hold out. But, that they know from a coaching point of view who the guy is, that sort of thing. And, with practices being closed for the most part, you can better believe that number one guy is getting the bulk of the reps, that sort of thing and stuff. So,
Will, are you there?
Yeah. I agree with Wheeler on that. I mean, I think that they probably know
about the first game not counting. AD said something about that.
Oh, last week.
Yeah. And, nothing could be further from the truth. Yeah, Ozzie like to say, all games matter, that sort of thing.
That's right.
But more importantly, for Coach Falk as well as for Eddie Robinson, this first game is going to be key for both of them. Both of them are going to find out something positively or negatively concerning their teams during that one game. Now, that one game is not going to make the season by any stretch, but it could go a long way towards determining, what's going to happen further down the line.
Yeah. Will
that first game could set the tone for the season.
Yeah.
That first game could set the tone for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and that's what I said the last couple of weeks. Yeah, you could start off with a lesser opponent, but it's still important. And we'll see what the cliche says. The most improvements from game 1 to game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that this is a big first game for both Alabama State and Southern University. We talked about it last week. Which game is more meaningful for whom? For Marshall Faulk or for Eddie Robinson Jr.? I think it's critical for Alabama State to win that first game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Alabama State's going to bring to the table with Andrew Body and that offense. They'll have to tweak some things. But who in the heck knows about the go-go offense? I think Eddie Robb Jr. was saying at Media Day, they're still trying to piece that thing together. So I would think there's a little bit more of an advantage for Southern because of the fact that people don't know about this offense. They're going to run the football. But I will say this, Carlos, I might have to amend my prediction about Southern University.
Already?
At Southern's camp this week, I saw my old ball coach, Mike Martz. Mike Martz was at Southern camp this week.
No, he was just visiting.
Well, he was just visiting, but he was there. He was there.
Mike can't play, Charles.
He can't play, but he's the greatest show on turf. Hey, I was glad to see Mike Martz. I hadn't really seen him, but hey, I would like to see how that offense looks. If it's anywhere like that offense that Marshall Faulk played with in LA, gotta have a quarterback to pull the trigger though. But it just brought back flashbacks when I saw Mike Martz in the Columbia Blues.
Oh, memories, huh? Yeah.
It brought back memories. But look, it is a big game. I mean, I think your Alabama State's picked to be one of the top 2 teams in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So I think with that being said, it's a huge game for both teams. But I think it's a bigger game for Alabama State because everybody's talking about Alabama State. People are talking about Southern too, but not, in a positive light. Some folks think that this first year is going to be tough. So we'll see. It's a good way to knock out the cakes for sure.
Yeah, I'm still looking at and offensive coordinator talked about the go offense and heavy on the run, and the big difference is the backs in the backfield side to side. You've seen some offenses where they're in the shotgun and they have the split back, but it's an eye, but it's just in the shotgun formation, and so it's going to be interesting to see. Defenses, they're going to try to look at it and try to answer the go offense. But with that being said, I looked at Sacramento State, where Coach Merchant was last year, UNLV, and the father of the go offense is the offensive coordinator at Colorado this year. You talking about pressure for Eddie Robinson, and I'm kind of looking at the chat room. Dr. Carey says it's now or never for Coach Eddie Robinson. Aunt Roy, I think he's a North Carolina A&T guy, Willard. He says it's more critical for Robinson. Well, when you pick when you pick number 1, and again, it's going to be played on the field. We'll be able to compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna use Charles as saying. Southern's playing with house money, Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
The unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But just kind of reading the chat room. And by the way, thanks for everyone participating in. Last week, we had over 100 people at one time in the chat room. And they're going at it already. EA, I love you to death. But he started mess already. That's nothing new. Now,
go
ahead.
I'm gonna give an opinion, and I see some of the comments as well. The team takes on the demeanor of the head coach if he's disinterested. Marshall Faulk is not Deion Sanders. Marshall Faulk is the total opposite. He's cerebral, calm. You know, I mean, he'll crack a joke every now and then. But when he was playing for the Rams, what you're seeing now is how he was as a player with the Rams. He's just not that type. He's just not that dude. So anybody that expects, you know, from the jump off a building and to be rah rah rah, that's just not who he is. At least not yet. Now he's in the fire. We'll see what happens. But I just think that people need to let Marshall Faulk be Marshall Faulk. And he was very transparent when he talked about the fact that, hey, I'm still learning. You know, he hadn't coached a game yet. And I know people kind of got on him about that.
Yeah, I did. And, you know.
I have no issue with it whatsoever. I mean, he's being refreshing, honest, and hey, I mean, we all need to learn. We all are learning in this pathway or this career.
And that's understandable, Charles. That's understandable. At the same time, I can bet your bottom dollar you never heard Coach Pettaway say he didn't know what he was doing, or he's just trying to find a way, or, you know, the bathroom, I'm still trying to find out where it is, that sort of thing. It's just certain things, Charles, you don't bring out at particular times. Now, I might tell a wife, I got some question marks going on with this, that, and the other. I might tell my best friend, you know, I might tell somebody else in the coaching fraternity that I'm close with, that sort of thing. But to put that out there for public consumption, I just don't believe he should have done that. And, you know, you got 100 and something people, you know, as I stated, you got 100 and something people looking at you, looking up to you, you know, looking for that strength, that sort of thing. But they're also looking for that weakness, you know, and you can't exude any kind of weakness at all when you're the head man. You just can't. Yeah, so I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it may seem refreshing and things of that nature, you know, but you look at your quote unquote better coaches, your top of the line coaches. I never heard Vince Lombardi say something about he didn't know what he was doing, or, you know, or any of the other quote unquote greats, you know, and, you know, I haven't heard Eddie Robinson from Grambling. You never heard anything like that come out of his mouth, or Willie Jeffries, or Buddy Pugh, or, you know, you go back to the, you know, the old line coaches, the older coaches, that sort of thing. Just certain things aren't said publicly. And so, you know, while you may feel like that, and I have no issue with you feeling like that, it's just a matter of things that should and should not be made public. That's just me, I guess.
Well, I'll be guilty because I'm not a coach. But if I was a football coach or basketball, I'll be brutally honest. I'm going to be tougher on myself than anybody. When something happens, we lose a game. No, and I've seen some coaches put the blame on the players. Well, he hit a free throw. He did this. I'm going to take all the arrows. That's just me. So I know he was being very honest about that. And everybody's different. There was an old movie I used to watch. Well, not that old. He said, son, be yourself. If they don't like it, then I got to beep out what he said. Yeah. You are who you are. That's who you are. At the end of the day, when we come back and look at the end of the season, guess what? I know what I'm going to look at. Wins and losses.
Yeah.
You know, now, whether I would have said the exact words he said, no. But I'm going to be brutally honest, and that's probably would be one of my downfalls. You know, I'm going to be so excited on the sideline, and I know when you're on the sideline and the team takes on your attributes, how you are. Right, Coach Pettaway? Now, Coach Pettaway, when I saw you coming on the sideline or on the court, you were rough. You were tough. You were ready for a fist fight. And that's how your players, that's how they play. I'm still having night sweats about Obi Tron. And the pressure y'all put on. Oh, man.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, too. Now you brought up Obi. He's a good example. Obi Trotter was not a rah-rah guy.
Really?
For
Interesting.
4 years. For 4
But he
years.
played that way.
Okay, now that's Coach Falk. Coach
Mhm.
Falk his demeanor is mild and everything, but when that joker stepped on that line,
Look out.
he was a force on the football field. Now he was a force on the football field. So maybe his strategy is to get his players to see that you can be meek and mild away from the floor, the field. But when you step across that line, it's time to strap it up and let's go to work. In other words, let your work speak for itself.
But
So
you know, Coach Pettaway, sometimes kids don't know the difference. When you're dealing with kids,
well, they'll
you
learn.
know, but you know, that ain't something that I know that I want to teach in that environment. You know, I want them to know that, you know, anytime I put this blue and gold on or what have you, put that hat on, you know, it's all about business. We going full steam ahead. Ain't no excuses, la-di-da, so forth and so on, you know. And, you know, it's just no time for me to show any kind of weakness, quote unquote, in terms of anybody even thinking that I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going, that sort of thing. So I can understand them, you know, trying to teach the kids both sides of the coin, that sort of thing. You know, football time, really, I hate to say it's a two-headed coin. It's a one-sided coin, you know, and it's all this, you know, and we can teach the other at the calf or, you know, at the burger joint or what have you.
But there are also a lot of eyes and ears on Coach Falk too. I mean, if we just go back to the hires that we've been talking about for years, everything that Coach Sanders said was scrutinized. You know, everything that Ed Reed said and did was scrutinized. And now everything that Marshall Falk is saying and doing, or not saying and not doing, and not wearing the blue, everything is being criticized right now. But all of that, a lot of that will go away if you win that first game in Birmingham, or some of it will go away in that first win, if you win that first game in Birmingham in a few weeks. So right now, I think people are just trying to feel him out. People are still trying to understand him. And I understand being around so many coaches. Coaches want to be understood in their way, and coaches need support when you're losing and when you're winning. And you want to get yourself out there beforehand, get ahead of it, because if you're losing, you still need that support. But we all know in this landscape, if you ain't winning, you're not going to get the support. So I think that's kind of what's in this bowl too, the fact that people are still trying to learn Coach Falk. People might not understand Coach Falk. And I think and there's some people that probably still feel to this day that the hire shouldn't have been the hire, but that's neither here nor there. So I think all that throws it in there. Everything he says and does or not say or not do is going to be looked at with a very critical eye.
I agree, Charles. And our job as administrators, is to help grow our coaches. You know, we have to know when we hire these guys, their strengths, their weaknesses, that sort of thing. And, you know, if you got a guy up under your arm who has never coached before, who has never been in this environment like that before, you know, then you have to walk him through the things that can be said or should be.
I think the rain is playing
Teach them the ins and outs of what it takes to be a head coach. You know, so I ain't putting that on Marshall Falk per se. I'm putting it on other people who shall not be named, okay, because they have to help grow this guy to become the head coach that they want him or her to be. You know, so that's on them, Charles. That ain't on Coach Falk, because he's being who he is. You know, but me in an administrative role, I got to teach him the ropes. I got to show him where the bathroom is more than one time. Can't be doing an interview process, coach, it's over here. You know, I got to show him on a regular basis what needs to be done, what needs to be said, what's good, what's not good, that sort of thing. As he continues to learn and grow, in the position?
Well, he has. I talked about it last week and the week before. I said it was so important. I like the staff that's been assembled. One guy that's on there that knows the SWAC in and out, Fred McNair. He's a senior advisor. Now, let us be careful about this because in the chat room, one person started this. That's one person. Do we know how many people feel that way? Well, I'll say this. If we look at just personalities, I'm going to go in the history book, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coach Richardson, to this day, he's not energetic. And when I first saw him on the practice field, I saw him going around with a notebook, pad, and he looked more like a professor. But guess what? He was one way when he did interviews. He was straight. You asked him a question, he answered it, and that was it. But boy, on that practice field, he was quiet. But when it was time to get on people, he was violent. So let's be careful. Now, Coach Falk, right? And I hope we don't have to keep bringing this up. We know he's not Coach Sanders. At least I know. Totally different. Totally personality. But because he's quiet, cerebral, different, you think that's going to have an impact on wins and losses? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
I just think
like I said earlier, Coach Pettaway, he's calm and cool, collect now, but when he was coaching, he was the total opposite. Coach Pettaway actually thought I was almost like I was courtside. I was kind of scared. I'm gonna have to put you in the conversation with Mama Jaguar and Coach Casson. Those were two people. When they called me, I immediately thought I'd done something wrong.
Yeah,
that's how tough. So let's just, it's good. We can bring it up. Everybody has different opinions. I understand that, but at the end of the day, it's going to be wins and losses. How this season went.
Yeah. Well, it's just. I mean, if you want to give another example, Cedric Thomas. Okay, so when Cedric Thomas was named as head coach, people were excited because he did a bunch of interviews as defensive coordinator. They loved his aura. They loved his personality. The fact that he was able to connect to people as DC. And so there was already an attachment there. Now, to your point, the wins and losses, that's a whole other story. We all know it's the first couple of years, it definitely has been a struggle. But at least he was able to relate and correlate with fans early on when he was named the head coach at Alcorn. He was out there doing interviews, out there shaking hands and kissing babies and all of that. But
which you have to do, even when they have a cold.
Which is what you have to do. But in today's society with social media and everything out there, I think the fandom is a little bit different than it was when Pete Richardson or Fred McNair or Jay Hobson or whoever you want to throw out there. You want to have a deeper level of connectivity with your coach, whether it's doing a ton of interviews or being a part of different programs and alumni functions, just to get a feel for your coach. And I think that's kind of, in my opinion, I think that's kind of where it is right now. And when that level of connectivity is not there, fans kind of turn the other way. And then when the losses come, then it compounds an already tough situation.
Wait a minute, Charles. Let me see if I'm understanding this right. I'm thinking, just my opinion, I've seen him do interviews. People talk about no paraphernalia. That's a bunch of crap. I'm sorry. I've seen him on. Just on the film we saw, we have him on. Now, I've come to the assumption that some people you just can't please at all. They're going to complain about everything. Well, he had on a SU hat, but he didn't have on the SU shirt. Miss me with that. Miss me with that. And I'm going to say this. I think it's only a small segment of that. I don't think the majority of fans are like that. I get it. You look at all schools on social media. They're filming the practices. They filming this. His son does his social media stuff. And you saw the clip that we played. I just think we're just being too nitpicky. because I can't think of a better word. Yeah, you got to be connected. Social media. Yeah, when Coach Richardson was coaching, you really didn't have it. You just had your coaches show, your SWAC weekly conference. He's going to do all that. But again, my opinion is I'm going to judge, and maybe I should say that word, it's going to be about wins and losses. With Coach Pettaway, wins and losses. We saw his style. Coaches are human beings. They have different personalities. I just think we need to be careful about that.
Mm-hmm.
Expecting everybody to be the same personality. That's a bunch of poppycock. Boy, I've used poppycock. I hadn't used that in 20 plus years.
Well, Carlos, I'm gonna say this: we are in a nitpicky society. We are in a nitpicky environment. People are nitpicking about everything. Just pull up Facebook, pull up X. Pull up the Vicksburg, what's going on in Vicksburg. People are nitpicky about any and everything. If the stop sign is turned wrong, if it's upside down, we are in a nitpicky society. Do I agree with it? No, but there are a lot of people that are. And so when you're looking at Southern University, talking about Southern, a blue blood HBCU football program coming off a 2-win season, a tough season, you're starting over, you're starting fresh. There are people that are they're sick and tired of just not getting there. And so now you want a coach that you can relate to, you can correlate with. And I agree with you. Marshall Faulk is who he is. Bottom line is if he wins that first game against Alabama State, some of this stuff will dissipate. But if it's a tough season, if it's a tough haul, losing some tough games in conference, we're not talking about U of H, we're talking about these other games, people are gonna start piling on. They're already in the cut, ready to attack, and the losses will only compound it.
How many percent?
Is that right? No, but that's just reality.
How many percentage do you think from the outside looking in? Because see, if somebody's just tuning in now, you would think 90% of the people are feeling that way, and I say no, it's not.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the Jaguar Nation feels as a whole. You know that better than me because you are very vested in it and you know the truth.
It's a small segment.
Okay.
But you know what they say, Carlos, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So he's getting the grease right now, because of the squeaks. But I'll say once again, it's up to us as administrators to help guide these people in the right direction. When we hire these coaches, we know what they can and can't do. I had a coach that I hired recently at Fort Valley, and he was a first-time head coach. And I knew that he could coach. Coaching wasn't an issue. He knew X's and O's. He knew how to treat the kids, so forth and so on. Where he was weak was in the other areas, the dealing with the alums, the press conferences, knowing what to say, what not to say, that sort of thing. So I had to take him under my wing and teach him how to be a head coach from that avenue, from that perspective. And that's what we have to do as administrators. When we hire these people, we have to know where they're weak, where they're strong, the whole 9 yards, and then we have to help guide them to get strong in the areas where they may be weaker than normal.
Well, let's go in the chat room quickly. Graylin Hamlin said, I personally don't think he meant it that way. Willa Brown, the man knows what he's doing. I think he only meant that as a first-year coach. He's not comfortable. He's not there. Perrin White. Oh, this is Perrin White. Coach Falk has one of the highest salaries in HBCU Division I. I saw that on social media. Maybe I need to cut my social media out.
It's true, Carlos.
But no, I'm just saying. I'm not based everything on social media. It's there. You remember I did that speech when I've been doing this 25 plus years. We didn't have social media. I'll say this: social media can be used in a good way, but it's also can be used as a bad way. Charles, I go back to that time, and I happened to listen to you when you were talking with Coach McNair on his radio show, and I was shocked. He said, I'm not doing this anymore. You know why? You know why? He said he got tired of every time on social media the players coming and feeling bad after a loss. And I get it. It's that time. You know, what have you done for me lately? You know, coming off 2-10. Hell, they got some fans. You could be 8-3, Coach Pettaway, and some of them still don't complain about it. So, you know, those people, God bless them, they're entitled to their opinion. But he says, I'm not doing this radio show anymore. This is Coach Fred McNair. Because his players were, you know, I guess confronted at school with other students, you know, the social media and talking about, you know, hey, we're still playing hard. We're just hearing it. Because they're the students too. They have other students. And when they go to class, they hear that. So, you know, for those who come back, like Herman Brister, he says, I just can't go out that way. 2-10 last year. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I love, Charles, how you bring that up. 2-10 every year.
Well, no. I'm not trying to rub it in, Carlos.
But it's a fact. It's a fact, right?
It is a fact.
It's a fact. I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
You know, 2-10. But what did I say? 2-10, never again?
Yeah. 2-10 is uncomfortable for me to say as I'm taking my purple and gold hat off and I'm putting my SWAC hat on. If you just follow SWAC football over the last 25 years, to see Southern football go 2-10 is just uncomfortable for me to think about it. It's uncomfortable for me to say it, but it is a fact. So
and guess what? If Alabama A&M went 2-10, Coach Pettaway, turn that mic on. How would the fan base be?
Yep.
Okay.
See, Willie, you're absolutely correct. Coaches have to be able to handle things, everything that comes up, especially when it's dealing with the public, these fans. Because, Will, I promise you, my first couple of years, this is what I did with the alumni. If you wanted to talk to me about my team, I would check to see what did you contribute.
See if you're giving it up. That's right.
If you have not, now I promise you that they had to correct me on this. I would tell them up front, man, if you haven't given to the program, don't talk to me about the program. Now, if you want me to listen to you, let me see what kind of contributions you make. Now I can hear you better. If you're making contributions. And that's just the way I was. But everybody can't do that. But I started out like that, Carlos. That was and I learned that from Coach Joe. He said, you're gonna have people coming at you from all sides. He said, but the only ones that matter are the ones that, if they really love you and your program, they put money in your program. They're helping you. He said, those are the ones you listen to. And that's the advice that I took, and that's what I did for my career. So with him being a first-time head coach, they got to get a man a break now, because he has not been in that seat before. He's not been in that seat before.
And he's acknowledged that.
I think it's a small minority of people that have a problem with what he has done so far. Because with me, I bleed maroon and white, but I didn't wear maroon and white to everything, every game. I had people say stuff about me. I said, hold up, I buy my own clothes, I'm gonna wear them. What I did do, I always had on a lapel pin or something with Alabama A&M on it. But maroon and white, number one, there's no way mentally I can walk out there every day like that.
Come on.
Not in the game, not out of my pocket. Now, if you pay for it, I wear it every day. If you buy it, I wear it every day. If you want me in a uniform, pay for it.
Yeah, I do it. Yeah, and I remember when it happened. You know, I got calls and it was just blown out of proportion to me. You know, I made the comment, look, he could be in pajamas, Coach Fall. Again, it's going to be at the end of the day, we're going to look at what happened on the field. Now, I saw it on social media. There we go again, social media. I'm cutting my social media time down. Charles, I know, Coach Pettaway, you're not on social media. Yeah. Charles, I know you love social media. Wheeler, I don't think you're on social media. Am I wrong?
I can have it. I can take it or leave it.
Now, as a coach, my main concern is getting these players ready having a winning record, put them in a position that they're successful from an academic standpoint. I don't have time. I mean, I heard Coach McNair say, I don't have time for social media. You know, I understand the fans, and it's an outlet for them.
Right.
You know, really, I understand that. But let's keep, you see on here is the it means balance. You know, Dr. Cavill's going to get me. It balance in life. You got to have balance. I know now, back then you didn't have social media, but even when I started in radio, did some little television, now doing podcasts, you gotta have balance. You let the fans have their say, their opinion, but you can't just let it overtake you.
No.
Because if you spend so much time on social media listening to the naysayers,
you ain't doing your job.
No, and I love EA to death, but see, every week he comes in here, he throws a rock, but he don't hide his hand. And so EA, you're in here talking about, oh, he seems disinterested. I didn't get that, but I understand you're FAMU graduate and alum. When does he not look disinterested? That disinterested, to me, that didn't look disinterested. It just looked like he's being who he is.
Yeah, I just think again, he's not a rah-rah type coach. So
he's not. So we'll move on from that.
Yeah, I mean, so with that,
and that's okay.
It is okay. It's absolutely okay.
That's okay.
But I think that's kind of where we are as a fandom, though. Fans, a lot of fans or some fans want to see, yeah, let's go. But Coach Falk is not that dude. So I think we have to accept that. That's why I said what he said absolutely it don't bother me at all. Even the way he comes across doesn't bother me at all. Because at the end of the day, what's going to keep that $400,000 salary going is him winning games, starting with that first game against Alabama State. And I do think for a lot of fans, that $400,000 salary is driving some of this conversation too. And it was out there, the highest paid coaches.
I disagree.
Deshaun Jackson, Marshall Faulk. We were talking about $300,000 salaries when Coach Sanders was coaching, and you had a couple of coaches in this league making that. Now you're up to $400,000. So with more money comes more pressure, comes more in terms of everything. So now all that gets thrown in. Some of that gets thrown in the bag too.
Man, he could make $100,000. It's still going to be pressure.
There he is.
You're still going to have people. If you come out 3-1, people are going to be happy.
Yeah.
If you come out on 4, Coach Pettaway, he could be making $10,000 a year as an assistant. You're just gonna catch it. That I understand that. That's how fans are. But
comes with the territory.
Yeah, but salary, look, he's making $400,000. We saw that. Michael Vick on social media. And then you had Chennis Berry. I saw the conversation. Some people said, look, Chennis Berry's proven himself, right?
Yep.
He should be making $400,000, but maybe South Carolina State can't afford
that.
Pay
that.
Right. You live within your means.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, absolutely. You look at those coaches. I mean, I was surprised in terms of even the coach of North Carolina Central, what he's done. I mean, I think that just my own personal. I mean, I'm not trying to be in their budget or anything, but you don't know what people are making until it kind of comes out. But schools can pay what they can pay, and you just roll with it. The coaches aren't complaining about it, of course.
Well, he just got a raise, Charles, because he was rumored to be going to Southern. So they kind of stepped up and gave him maybe $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 more.
He was a finalist.
Because of that, he milked that, and that's okay.
That is okay.
If you can do that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I just don't believe, and this is just me from an athletic administrative point of view, that we all can really afford to pay a coach $400,000. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we still trying to find money for uniforms. We're trying to find money for scholarships from other sports and all that sort of thing. I mean, I guess obviously it's coming from somewhere, But you know, if you can get it, God bless you. You know, I'll be one of the first ones on the gravy train.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I just don't know if it's feasible that we have those kind of dollars to pay our coaches when there's so many other needs out there.
Coach
I
Pettaway,
think it's feasible. I think it's feasible.
would you
because
turn?
you know what?
Would you turn?
Let
Would
me
you
tell you
turn?
something, man.
Would you
I'm for
turn
the
$400,000?
I'm for the coaches. They should be getting more than $400,000. You got some ADs getting that. You got ADs getting that. Them coaches should be making more than $400,000 in football and basketball. Now that's the God honest truth. They should be for what they.
I'm talking
for what
about
they
on
have to
our
do,
level, Coach Pettaway.
for
On
what
our
they
level.
have to do and what they have. I'm talking about on our level. For what
There's
they have to do
not a
and what they have to do.
$400,000 AD out there. I'm saying in my mind.
They got
You
some
don't know
There's not a $400,000. I know it's some out there,
Thank you.
but there are not any out there in my mind that should be making that amount when their programs are so deep underwater and there's so many things that their program needs. Now, if everybody's doing okay and you know the world is twirling around like that sort of thing, and you can get paid, then fine. You know, but if the track team don't have enough scholarships, or the volleyball team don't have shoes, or somebody ain't got uniforms, or we don't have a full complement of scholarships in all our sports, I can't see that. The priorities have to be lined up properly. And like I said, it's just my thought.
Well, Emmett Jones, AL certified boy, everybody's really having this conversation. I wonder how that started. Emmett says, he's taking a shot. Yet Sean Gibbs is making $375,000.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And admitted he's still learning, reading between the lines. Coaching in the FCS is harder than he thought it was. Whoa.
That's true. Is there any lie in that? No.
Facts versus opinion. No, I always say that. Is it a fact? That's what he's making.
I mean, I don't know, but if
that's what Sean is making. Yeah, he's making $375. Yeah, and you know he had an opportunity when he came aboard. He was calling the shots on that simply because of the situation that he was walking into. You know, you taking over a program that's won 2 games in 3 years, that sort of thing. No, I ain't coming cheap. You know I'm your guy. You know, no, I'm not going to sell myself short now by no means. You know, especially knowing that the last guy that had this job only had it for 2 years. Now, why am I going to cut my throat, okay, and take less money, you know, when 2 years from now, I might not have a job. So I better get all I can, and I understand that. I empathize with that. I better get all I can right now, as much as I can right now, because I know that if I don't get it on the front end, Coach Pettaway, it ain't coming on the back end.
That's why I said what I said. These coaches should be paid more because they're not promised these jobs. All alumni that got to get together and say, hey, we don't want that person anymore. They're out of a job. Then what are they going to do for their family? Give these coaches money so they can take care of themselves. They remember now, mental health is very prevalent now. Back in the day, we didn't talk about mental health. Give these coaches an opportunity to have a strong mind. Pay them like they and make them feel good.
I've heard so many coaches over the last probably 7-8 years when they talk about jobs, coaching jobs in this conference, not just at Alcor, but throughout the SWAC, they say, hey, man, get what you can get on the front end of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that so many times, and I think that's pretty deep to hear that.
Well, put a button in it right there. We haven't had a break.
Oh, yeah.
And Brian Fulford is our producer today, the ONG strike. They're on
the Rattlers.
They're on Wednesday nights. Yeah, they're on Wednesday nights. at 7 p.m., I guess, Central Standard Time. But we'll take a break. Wow. Everybody's fired up in the chat room. But here's a show where opinions matter, but also the facts matter and entertainment. I'm going to say this as we go to a break. I'm still for Coach Falk. Anybody who's the head football coach at Southern University, no matter what sport, I'm going to back them until otherwise. I'll say that. Coming up, Coach Jailyn Rogers, SU women's bowling coach. Here's someone that got an opportunity. Bowled collegiately at Southern University. She'll be joining us very shortly, but we got to get a timeout in. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Introducing the HBCU Trivia Game. It's more than a board game. It's a journey to the legacy of historically black colleges and universities. Here's how it works. 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, start as freshmen and roll the dice to advance. But here's the twist. You can only move forward by answering trivia questions about HBCU. Test your knowledge of notable alumni, key historical events, sports milestones, and fun HBCU facts. Watch out for spaces that can propel you ahead or set you back. And if you get a question wrong, you stay put until your next turn. The first to reach graduation wins. The HBCU Trivia Game. Support, educate, entertain. Available now. Let the journey begin.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
Tune in to the BCSN Pod Zone, the aggregate of some of the best HBCU sports shows on the net. Find them on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and everywhere you hear podcasts.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL on August 29th with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff presented by Toyota, representing the SWAC, Alabama A&M, and representing the MEAC, Howard, Bulldogs, Bison, the Marching Maroon and White, the Showtime Marching Band, the premier FCS matchup in prime time with a kickoff trophy up for grabs. Join us pre-game for band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Register your business for the premier urban business directory in the country, the Urban Passport. Visit myjbn.com/passport. The Urban Passport, the evolution of the Green Book.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Orange Blossom Classic. South Carolina State Bulldogs versus the FAMU Rattlers. September 6th, Labor Day weekend, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. You don't just want to watch it, you want to feel it. The sound of the bands, the energy in the stands, and the pride on every play. Get your tickets now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Built on history, fueled by pride.
Carlos, you muted.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how that happened. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. And truly, if you want to help sponsor, send in donations. Black College Sports Network. I'm telling you, I've been on here a few years now, and no one can tell the story like we can. You know, Roy, Brian Fulford, and all those guys, they have done a great job, and your support is needed, and we appreciate it. Those who watch all of our shows every week. Last week, I had people saying you need to have either a third hour or they wish they had a show during the week.
A daily show.
Well, I don't know about daily, but from a financial standpoint, donations could help. We could consider at least, I think a third hour. I don't know, Coach Pettaway, that might be rough for you.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah. But I appreciate the sentiments. I appreciate the support, and we really appreciate it. I've been doing this a long time, from terrestrial radio to radio, now to podcast. Now, you have to make adjustments. You really do. So coming up, Coach Jailyn Rogers, Southern University Women's Bowling Coach, at about 12:30 p.m. If you're just tuning in, we had our What's Trending. Southern continues their fall camp. Coach Falk talked about basically down to 3 quarterbacks, Wyatt McCauley, Christian Johnson, and Ashton Struthers. They have a major scrimmage tonight at 6 p.m. Next Saturday, which will be the 15th, they'll have their next major scrimmage. And then you're looking at the semester starting, and then you'll start winding down to the week of Southern against Alabama State. Brian, if we could, hopefully we can get it done. If not, for next week, we'll pull up, because we have been looking at the different football teams in the conference with their schedule. So Texas Southern, I know we got to do UAPB, Grambling State University. Who am I missing? Mississippi Valley State. Then I think that'll cover all of them. We did Alabama A&M, Alabama State. We did FAMU. Some tough schedule. We did Alcorn State. Maybe we could pull up North Carolina A&T.
We can, but it's an exercise in futility right now.
Wait a minute. So Wheeler, I think I asked you this once before. You would have rather them as an alum, them to stay in the Mideastern Athletic Conference, but they did.
Yeah, and because I'm an MEAC guy pretty much, and grew up in it, that sort of thing, and so I just think from a cultural point of view, from a fandom point of view, all the way around. Plus the fact that recently they were doing really well in the MEAC, and all those things combined. I just thought it was a better fit. But overall, I can understand why the president pulled the trigger on a move that he did. He had other things in mind outside of athletics, and made athletics like a piggyback sort of issue. And so I can understand his rationale, his motive, but it still doesn't sit well with me. But we are where we are. And, we got to try to do the best we can with the little bit of dollars that we have to work with.
Now, I was reading, and they haven't made it official yet, but they're going to be having a new AD at North Carolina A&T.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a call. I've never met her, but I know her husband.
Okay.
And it's James Verrett, his wife. Yeah, I know she was at UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. She was at North Carolina A&T before,
Yeah,
but
for a few years.
Yeah. So yeah.
She's gonna be the new AD A&T.
Well, we got to wait for it's official, but see, I know everybody. I got sources everywhere. and doing this for 20 plus years, you
establish
have
those
relationships. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I've literally went to blows sometimes. Verbal
and
blows.
I don't know her, Carlos. I know of her, have met her a few times, that sort of thing. So, I wouldn't have an opinion one way or the other. But A&T's my alma mater. Who's ever in the door there, who's ever in the chair, I'm going to try to support them. 1,000%. And I'm wishing nothing but the best for her moving forward.
Let me ask you guys a question. Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M aside, if the MEAC, if we didn't lose Hampton, you didn't lose A&T, how would the MEAC look now in this landscape? Bethune and FAMU, you kind of felt like they were going to be leaving, but just those other two that left with the MEAC with got 6 teams. If they had 8 teams, would the MEAC be any better off, you think? Or you think it's still, because there's a lot of conversation about trying to add to the MEAC and trying to elevate the MEAC?
I mean, they got to get a couple more schools, under the fold. There's no doubt about that part. Right now, with the cost, it's going to be difficult to find a D2 that wants to move up or something to that effect. And, it's going to be difficult in terms of stealing schools from another conference, to try to join the MEAC, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
By being a, all-black conference pretty much for the most part. You've relegated yourself to HBCUs almost in terms of memberships. I can't see a PWI joining the MEAC. I just don't see the quote-unquote value in that. But
they did it in the SIC?
Yeah, they did. They did
it in the SIC?
Yeah, but those were schools those were schools that didn't have football, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Petaway. Is that true?
Now, you know what? You might be right, because I know Spring Hill does not have football. And I think, but the other one was the other school up in the toward the Midwest. Yeah, I don't think they have football either. Yeah, but now even for the MEAC now, they got to add schools that have football too now.
Yeah, they do, and that's the requirement right there. And end of story right there, Coach Petaway. If it's not a football school, then no need in them joining the MEAC.
Correct.
It doesn't bring enough value at all.
Well, maybe down the line. Don't shoot me for saying this, but Chicago State, I know they got a lot of rough road ahead of them. But I've heard that on social media that maybe that could be a consideration. I know I heard Virginia Union, but Willie, you know about that territory more than me.
They can't afford the fee. Now if the MEAC was going to piggyback in terms of the NCAA dollars that it takes to move the D1, that sort of thing, or something like that, then maybe them or Virginia State might consider it. I always thought Bowie State would be a good option also. So you got a few schools there in the CIAA, that if the dollars were right, I think they would be a pretty decent fit.
Yeah.
But with the interest fees being what it is in terms of moving up to Division I NCAA wise, and then I guess the dollars that it would take to get into the MEAC, Then you have to look at your budgets because you're going to have to add sports. You're going to have to add scholarships. You're going to have to add coaches. You're going to have to add administrators. So it's just not a thing of let's pay the interest fee and, let's roll along.
You're going to need some more.
There are so many other millions and millions of dollars that are going to have to come into play outside of the fees that it's going to cost to get in.
Well, that's real talk.
Mm-hmm.
It does make me wonder too. There was a comment about Tennessee State. So we talked about Tennessee State joining the SWAC and Tennessee State and MEAC. Which would be a better fit for Tennessee State, in the SWAC or the MEAC, from a logistics, travel, location? Well, which one would fit?
I personally would like to see them in the SWAC.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would like to see them in the SWAC, and then A&M and Tennessee State can become travel partners.
And I think the SWAC would be a better fit. The SWAC would probably be a better fit, transportation-wise, financially, things of that nature. When you got to try to go to Dover, Delaware, from Nashville or wherever it is Tennessee State is,
tough.
Or some of the other places that you're going to have to, fly into. You got to look at things from a budgetary point of view.
But see, they're in a good spot in being in Nashville now. They can fly to Nashville and go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a hub. Yep.
But the key word, Coach Pettaway, is fly. I want to know where we can Greyhound.
Is Continental still running?
Talk to me about Trailway, baby.
But yeah, Trailways, yeah, that's the word. But and we kind of when we talked to that, we had 4 or 5 ADs on at the same time. I think I brought up with non-sports activity affecting the gas. Now it's gasoline and then flying and ticket prices. Isn't all jumped up, and it's 2 or 3 years from now, it may be different, but right now. So I know that's going to kind of affect the budgets of our HBCUs right now.
Well, I can share this story. I'll talk with our AD, next year in football next year, Bethune-Cookman rolls back on our schedule next year, and we're supposed to go to Daytona next year. He's already looked at the chartered flight prices. Great flight from Jackson to Daytona, right, an hour and 15 minutes, but the price for that chartered flight, he's looking at it right now. So just think in another year, when they come on the schedule officially, how much that flight's going to cost. So it's just something he was just talking about.
It's going to be one of them things, Charles, where they fly down and bus back, that sort of thing. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're talking about trying to save dollars, it has been done.
It most definitely has been done.
It has been done.
Last season, it was
more
done.
Often than not. I can tell you that.
It has been done. That is correct. A team did bus it to Daytona from Mississippi. Yes, it has been done.
Yes. Well, I don't think I can coach now because, man, ain't nowhere in the world I'm riding no bus, man. Always. Did
that team
on the coaches and the players, man? Come on.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, we can talk about bingo log, traveling all stars. But it is what it is on that one, Coach.
and there are so many things that are affecting college athletics now. Just like the lawsuit that they brought about the kids who went to school in 2022.
Yeah.
About them having a blanket another year.
It has changed.
Huh?
It has changed. I got exhausted how many days somebody came from another judge. And then the last thing I saw was now, if you get that year back, you can't transfer it to another school. You have to come back to your original school.
Well,
if you wasn't like that, why I want you back?
Yeah.
Just for the sake of you got a year of eligibility.
Personally, I would just say be careful. Because the way this thing switches, I'm not gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna coach who I have. Who I got now right now.
But there's still some good players out there that got that year of eligibility left.
Right.
Here in the South, they're talking about 2 kids that play for the University of Tennessee that could have big impacts on their program if they're given that year back. Yeah, because one of the kids would have been in the draft, but he got hurt right before the draft, so he didn't put his name in there. So, and they're saying as long as you haven't signed
Remember the
with
agent or
anybody,
anything?
you have an opportunity to come back.
Okay.
I think it's great, but at this late date, to me, in football, it's going to be tough. But I think it'll help some of the basketball programs.
Right, right.
Well, Cedric Thomas told me the other day, I asked him about it, and he said there's a couple of players in his hip pocket. If it's a go, there's some players out there that for us have that extra year. So he's just waiting on the courts and waiting for it to be official. But right now it is in a holding pattern, and I expect it to go back and forth. I said it last week. It's going to be a tug, a push and a pull today, push tomorrow. And so I think that's how it's going to go for a while.
Oh, EA says, Carlos, so if your DN from last year wants to come back, you won't take him back? I will take him back. But if he's cleared, if he hasn't signed, you know,
that's what I'm saying.
And I failed to mention last week, I know he signed, I thought he signed the undrafted free agent, I'll check, with the Buffalo Bills. So I'm just saying, just be careful with all this. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's got all these compliance officers jumping and on alert, man.
You got that right. You got that right.
Go down, they're gonna be scrambling, man.
They're working overtime.
Yep.
And all it takes is one miscalculation.
That's right.
And then what you're gonna go to them and say, well, this injunction said this one said that, this one said that. That's what I'm just saying. Be careful. You know, 1 year, but some of those coaches got more than 1 year contracts. They got more than 2 year contracts. So they got
Carlos Brown contract.
Oh yeah, that's coming back. That's coming back. I've got that contract in the conference going around. Maybe a stop in Pine Bluff. Maybe a stop in Lorman.
Well, the word on the street, Carlos, the word on the street was that picture that you took with Marshall Faulk. You had something in your hand. You had an addendum to the Marshall Faulk to the Carlos Brown contract. Talking to Coach Faulk.
No. If you look at that picture in good detail, my other half moved it even closer. I'm gonna post a closer one. I had nothing in my hand.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, this, to your point, Carlos, this is a big year right here. You know, we just finished our scrimmage. I've been at practice before I passed out at practice. I'm sure full transparency.
I'm glad you're doing better.
Please hydrate, ladies and gentlemen. Please hydrate. I see Coach Pettaway got a bottle of water in his hand. I passed out at practice.
I plan to get out of that heat in a few minutes.
Yeah, and it was actually one of the cooler mornings of the week. And I was interviewing Coach Thomas, and I just passed out and had to be carried to the training room. And the offensive linemen were telling me that I'm heavy, and they couldn't move it. But thanks to the training staff and everybody, you know, the medical people. But I was overheated for sure. But hydrate, drink plenty of water, and just, you know, plenty of wet towels, whatever, because it is hot. I mean, the humidity is, Carlos, you talked about it, the humidity is off the charts, especially, you know, we had a downpour here on campus yesterday. It felt like a hurricane. I mean, the rain was coming down in buckets, but it has been it's been pretty hot. But stay hydrated.
We need
Charles, that don't sit
rain,
well for your running game, that's for sure. That don't sit well for the running game, Charles.
Yeah. I mean, they said, "Tall man, we couldn't even get you on the cart." I said, "Oh my goodness gracious!" Well, you know, I'm 300 and some pounds, but I'm very average in terms of what these guys can handle on the sled. But maybe I'm just dead weight. Maybe I couldn't do anything. So
that's what it was, dead weight.
Yeah,
man, dead weight. Whether it's 125, somebody passes out and you're trying to pick them up. I mean, it's it's still a struggle, even if you're in
Does
shape.
compute. Does not compute.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
But yeah, I mean, there is pressure. I mean, Cedric Thomas knows and understands. We look pretty good right now. Had our first scrimmage. I think that I'm sticking by my prediction. I think we could very much win the West. But there's pressure throughout this league, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But clearly, the expectation here at Alcorn State University is really high.
Yeah. Well, haven't had a chance to see any, just from the outside looking in, with Southern University and different other teams in the conference. Saw a little bit of Alabama A&M. I'm not going to make any predictions about looking good, looking this and that. I kind of want to see a little deeper into fall camp. When they're tired, they're up against a wall, Wheeler. Mm-hmm. When they're pushing, then see the ones who can push through. Because everybody's going to hit it. I mean, I've been doing this for years. Everybody's going to hit it. Everybody looks outstanding. You can tell the ones who have worked out during the off season. But there's an old coach told me that that's a condition, but then there's football condition. And that's why he looks in the middle of camp when they're dragging, when they're sagging. And coach, I'm tired, I'm cramping up. Who could push through?
Yeah.
And then that's a team. And then when that week of the week of the game, or even a week before that, you can kind of see the players kind of like, the energy is back. Because it's going to be a point. Because Coach Penn, there was another video out there, courtesy of Channel 9, and that's the one I think I sent to you, Wheeler, and everybody in the group. He's tough. He's pushing them, because pushing them now pays off later on. And you're amazed that sometimes you think you're at the wall, but you could push through a little more. You'll be surprised. So,
that's why you want to create that atmosphere in practice, so when they see it in the game, it's not new to them. They can push through it. So that's why a lot of times we as coaches, we try to make practice so hard that when you get in the game is easy.
I've heard that.
That's the name of it, man. That's what you have to do.
I've heard that.
I would imagine, for us, we open up in 3 weeks. This is our second week. The scrimmage ended the second week. Classes don't start until next Monday. I would imagine for teams who start early, these next couple of weeks is going to be critical in terms of just the rotation, who's one, who's two. I think the scrimmage here next Saturday, there'll be one here next Saturday. It's probably the most important one of the whole camp, because after that, then it's the one prior to the first game, in which you're probably going to see just very vanilla stuff. So I think these next couple of weeks for camps, for a lot of camps, especially if you're playing in week 0, I think is going to be important in terms of just nailing everything down.
And then some teams, they have 11 games. Most of our teams in the conference playing week 0.
I think Valley starts us off. Don't they start on a Thursday?
Oh, yeah. And boy,
Mm-hmm.
they've got a tough schedule. Oh my goodness, it's tough. If you put that schedule on other teams in the conference, what do you think would happen?
It will be tough.
Yeah, and it's I think they start off with Nickel State, if I'm not mistaken, on the Thursday night. That's tough. Now, and Nickel State didn't have a winning record last season, I don't believe.
Yeah, but they're playing at home, and that's probably why they're bringing Valley in there. Yeah, that is on the 27th. Yep.
Yeah. That's the only way for Valley to get their guarantees, because we know they don't give out enough scholarships in order to play up, FBS wise. So, they're relegated to going to Nichols or, any of the other FCS schools out there that's giving a half decent guarantee, because they really ain't getting all that much, but something better than nothing at all.
Well, I think Dr. Gaston is going to do everything she can, and I think she understands the dynamic and the challenges. I think she's going to do everything she can to put Valley in a position to get there, to where they can play up. Because I think she sees and understands, the importance of those guaranteed games. You got Starkville. From Starkville to Itabita is a hop, skip, and a jump. Oxford as well, if you get those. But to be able to play up like that and get those guaranteed games, I think that she's going to do everything she can to increase those aided scholarships.
Well, now, and I don't have it in front of me, but I have the paper. I can't reach it. But I downloaded the everybody's schedule. I want to say Valley. I don't think they play FBS. It's other FCS conference, FCS teams, and that's tough.
Yeah.
But see, they go way out of Sacramento State.
Well, yeah.
Valley goes to Sacramento State. Yep.
I think they're playing in the Chicago Classic. Are they playing Chicago State in the Chicago? Are they playing Chicago State or is it Sacramento State?
Wait a minute. Let me get it real quick here.
Yeah, you're right. They play Sacramento State, Nicholls State.
Yeah. Yeah. So they understand. I mean, it's and when you're playing FCS teams, the ones that can give you a fairly decent guarantee, like we're getting a fairly decent guarantee for going to North Alabama, opening up their stadium. And if it's close, then it's worth doing that. But I would just like to see, as a SWAC fan again, I would like to see Valley get there to where they can play up. It's easier said than done. I understand it, and we've been talking about it for 30 years. I understand that, but I'd like to see them get there because I think that will help their coffers, and it'll help everything with Mississippi Valley, including athletics.
Well, you notice they're not playing any FBS teams. Is
that because they're not offering the maximum?
They don't give out enough. They don't give out enough in terms of scholarship dollars.
Right.
I think the number is 54 or 55.
No, you have to average at least 90% of the NCAA maximum over a course of 3 years.
So that's what, 63?
At least 90% of the NCAA maximum, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
Over a 3-year period. So you just can't do it for 1 year and then now you qualify. You have to have some history behind it. And once you have those 3 years, then the game will count for the FBS school.
Right. And Carlos, you were
they
right.
Could still play. They could still play, but it won't count for the FBS school because you don't meet the requirements. So therefore they're not going to play you.
Right.
Because it's not going to count for them. So I'm not going to give you $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 for a game that I'm not going to be able to utilize at all.
Yeah. You were about to say something, Coach Pettaway.
Yeah. Valley has Nicholls, then they go to Sacramento State, and then they play in Chicago. They play Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back home with Delta State. So those are their non-conference games: Delta State, Lincoln, Sacramento State, and Nicholls. That's Valley's non-conference.
Is that Lincoln Bible? Is that Lincoln?
Lincoln out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I still say, and I know this is controversial, but I'm gonna put it this way: there's gonna come a time. There's gonna come a time that you're not gonna be able to play those upper echelon FBS teams. You might. And I'm telling you, the time is coming. So, then it may be a chance where you play one every 4 years, but not the upper echelon of the FBS. So, get your plan ready now. Jackson State played Southern Miss last year and had a good account of themselves.
They got Southern Miss this year.
Yeah, we put in a request for Ashley. He has agreed to come on. We just got to nail the time down. But they're just going to come. Jackson State says they don't have to play these big money games.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while they do it. I think that's par for the course. Now here comes LSU. They've been negotiating, Southern LSU. in 2028. Well, no, you're not gonna turn down that. And I want 800,000. That's an alum. I want 800,000. I wanted to go up 100,000. Inflation, everything's high. Well, you're just coming from across town. You don't come across town on air, buddy. You still got to use some gasoline.
but I don't like that game with Lane Kiffin there now, because Lane don't know how to slow them horses down, man.
Well, they're giving one for the team.
Not you, Carlos. Not you, Carlos. Not you.
No, not me. But that's going to happen. And remember, we had the associate AD on Rodney Kirshner. They were working on some other deals. You may see Northwestern State in the future back on. Southern has to return the game to Nickel State. I think that's coming up next year. And their AD is he talked to a friend of mine, and he's already so excited. That'll be the most people on campus coming to Thibodaux, Louisiana. Charles, one day I want to see Alcorn. If you can't come, maybe you can come in 2028. Southern in LSU. LSU rings a little different than Mississippi State and Ole Miss.
I just want to be there just to enjoy the environment. And once kickoff comes, I'll leave. I just want to hear Southern playing, getting off the side of your neck and dancing and jumping around. That environment, what that last game was awesome. I would love to be there to see that. But I was a fan of that atmosphere. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But in a few years, this year we got USM, we got Ole Miss coming up, and then we got TCU in the next few years. So that's what we're looking at as far as our FBS our FBS slate.
And I'll tell you what, TCU will not turn off the brakes or whatever you want to say, because I seen UAPB play them, Southern played them when Dawson Modem was there, Jackson State. They're going to try.
When I was there, we played them.
Yeah, they're going to try to do their damage early, middle, and late. They're not. They're going to look at that FCS opponent as an FBS opponent, just from what I've seen. In our case, we play our starters maybe 1 or 2 quarters, and then get those backups in, give us some experience.
Yeah.
You know what, Charles, as a broadcaster, I appreciate what y'all do, but it'd be hard for me to sit through there when it's 70-6. That's tough. That is tough.
Yeah. I don't know what's tougher, doing a 70-0 game or a 105-55 game in basketball.
Wow.
Either or. You catch it hell.
It almost brings you to tears to see it.
Yeah.
Carlos, I want to share a story, a basketball story. We played #1 Kansas in basketball. We were up 4-0, Coach Pettaway. It was on ESPN, breaking news, Alcorn up 4-0. Kansas went on a 37-0 run. And that I think that's the NCAA record. As far as that run, we were up 4-0 on #1 Kansas, and then they went on a 37-0 run, and it makes you it gets you a little emotional when you see it, because it's just one-sided, and we're doing the best we can, and it's just we can't get off the dole. It's just like with Mississippi State last year. It was just so tough. And Coach Thomas pulled the starter. He said there came a point in which we got to get our starters out of there. We just got to get through this. And so I think coaches know that when they're playing these teams, there comes a point in which, hey, get them out of there. You got to finish the game, get them out. And I think that's kind of a tough deal for our coaches when you're playing those type of games.
Well,
Coach Wade,
there's a sport that we fare very well in. I worked in the bowling industry. Boy, Carlos, you've done a lot. Yes. A lot. What's those saying? A master of all, a master of none. But the bowling industry, Coach Jailyn Rogers will join us now, Southern University women's bowling coach, and
my sport.
Well, yeah, you still participate. I only had like maybe 130 average, very mediocre.
I shot a 255 a few weeks ago. Carlos had the first 8 going for a perfect game, and then I screwed up in the 9th, spared in the 10th. 300 is what you dream of when you're bowling 12 in a row. It's a perfect game. So I was doing a little something that week.
Let's see if Coach Rogers will bring her on, and let's see if she ever bowled a 300 game, and what was a collegiate average. Good afternoon, Coach Rogers. It's a pleasure to have you on. Congratulations.
Thank you. To first answer your question, yes, I bowled a 300. I actually just recently bowled it back in December. And my collegiate average about freshman year to sophomore was around 190, 195.
Oh my God.
But as I got better with the sport shots, because that's what the collegiate bowlers play on, not just a house shot. But it started to progress. We go up to 200, but that was mainly because of spear shooting, honestly. So.
Wow. My little feeble 130 average.
Hey, that's still good, though. It's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had a chance to win it. It is not all about me, but I told this story before. The guy said, "You got it, Carlos," from the other team. You're gonna get it. I bowled the gutter ball, and then my next shot, and I only needed 4 pins. Guess what, Coach Rogers? Another gutter ball. I let the first one.
Was Reggie Miller out there doing this? Was Reggie Miller out there doing this, Carlos?
That's why I call everybody. And it was a company bowling tournament, and they were doing that like a week later. Oh, that's what they meant. But Coach Rogers, talk about being now the head bowling coach at Southern University. How you feeling? How was that when you were informed that you're gonna take the lead of the bowling program?
Honestly, the first word that comes to my mind is grateful. I've been with the program for 5 years now. Last year, I was the assistant coach. As a player, a lot changed, I would definitely say. Our bowling program was kind of forgotten in a way. Like, yes, we do have our supporters, but once 4 of us were recruited under Coach Doyle, it was his first recruiting class. We saw it was a lot of different things that need to be done. Like, we didn't have as much exposure, so we advocated for that. Getting media days, jerseys, like wanting to look professional, wanting to look like an actual team, and so that's where that started. That was one of my biggest things, because I feel that all sports need the same type of exposure. They need the same support.
Yes.
How can you have your athletes feel supported if they don't get that? So, and that's not just even from our outside supporters, it's within as well. But it's just something that was never talked about. So over the course of those 4 years, I can definitely say we gained a lot more support and just professionalism. Honestly, we went 3-time back-to-back regular season champions. We made 3 ESPN appearances in 2022, 23, and 24. What is 24? No, 22, 24, 25. That's what it was. 2022, we did not make it to the TV. But, hey, like I said, we came in and we did a lot. And I'm grateful for that, to now be able to carry that momentum into my now recruiting class. It'll be fueled by discipline, structure. We're going to have fun. The girls are going to have character. They have spice, okay? I don't want just some boring players. I like to feel that aggression. I like to feel that you want to be here. So it's definitely a lot that's going to be changing. I'm looking to get more support from the bowling community as well. Doing a lot of fundraisings, getting the girls more active within the Baton Rouge community, of course. Do community service, like I said, fundraisers. That's going to be one of the biggest things this year that I'm looking to advocate for. So, yeah. Well,
we will try to help here at the Carlos Brown Show, especially for like being out there and advertising, because what you said, it struck me. And once before, I remember on the track team, and we've got to do a better job. I'm a personally hold this show to do a better job. Me, basically, from the track, the women's track and field, the men's track and field, they kind of felt like, look, we need to have that media presence as well. And so you inherited a program that's done well. You were part of it. Coach Doyle now going to Grambling State. Boy, that's going to be interesting when you guys go against each other for the first time, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. But what's funny is me and Coach Doyle, we both league together, so we've always had that competitive nature. Now, even when I was a student athlete, I would challenge him in games. He would challenge me, and that's what I like. But I do still bowl with him, so we're not going to be rivals necessarily on the lanes, but our teams, yes, it's going to be Tigers against Jaguars. And let me tell you that we've had a great record against Grambling's bowling team. I'm not looking to stop that, so we're going to be bringing it.
Great words to use. Great words, Coach Rogers. As far as your recruiting, when I worked in the bowling industry, they didn't have high school competition. Now, of course, in Louisiana, they do have it, and from what I hear, some good local programs. Will that be a focus of bringing in the student athletes to the bowling program?
Yes, for sure. I do want to look more into the community for future recruiting. I have already contacted many of the high school coaches, so I'm gaining that connection with them so that we can see what can be next for them. Because if you can have your hometown people go to Southern, do good, but it's also bridging that gap as well. What do they need to work on? What can we focus on here? But as for this year, I do have a Louisiana native coming in. She's from east side of Louisiana, but she's in Louisiana. I also have another player. She will be returning, sophomore, Alana Jones. She is originally from Houma. So we have Louisiana in the house. But I'm looking to definitely expand on that as well as time progresses.
I'll turn it over to the panel if they have any questions, and I'll come back with one. I love to talk about lane conditions, only because I worked in the industry for 5 years, and it plays an important piece. But anybody on the panel has a question for Coach Rogers?
Yeah, I got one. Hey, Coach, in the SWAC, do we have many schools that have their own bowling alleys on campus?
Yes. Yes. So we do. I know for sure, to name a few, Alabama A&M has a nice facility. Right. Prairie View, Texas Southern, FAMU.
Okay. That's
JSU
good.
And ASU, I know they do not have their own facilities. They use their community bowling center. Likewise with us, though, we have a bowling center, but it is not in use, unfortunately. So we have to go off campus. And of course, that requires fees as well. But we have to go off campus because of that. And that's something I'm also looking to change. But the thing is, with the bowling center, it's not owned by athletics. So that's something I'm kind of looking to also bridge the gap with as well. Because if we have a college sports team, why do we not have a practice facility? Why can we not have first dibs on the practice facility? But to answer your question, that was a good one. Yes, we have one, and a lot of the other SWAC schools do have one as well. But unfortunately, for the past 2 going on 3 years, we've not been able to use it.
Right. Well, see, I was voted the #1 supporter of our bowling team. In fact, when I coached, I brought my basketball team to Baton Rouge. We played in the spring, Charles, and they were having a bowling. They were having a roundup at a place not far from campus, and I took my team. And we came to Southern, and we helped our ladies beat you all. But now that was before you got there, right? Coach Rogers.
I wonder if that was Metro Bowl.
Right, Carlos, when you leave the campus, it's like you take a left or something and go straight down that highway, and there was a bowling alley there.
That sounds like Metro Bowl.
Yep. Well, I took my team there, and we came in and supported the Lady Bulldogs.
Yeah, that's the industry. When I said I worked 5 years, it was right there. But Malcolm Theaters, they closed now.
Okay.
But I'm sure. And Coach Rogers, we had someone in the chat room asked about the union and the bowling center. So you kind of answered that. Do I need to make a call to some digits? I know he doesn't like for me to call him all the time.
Honestly, because we try to communicate things and they say they're going to do it, and it just that's what it is right now. So we're just trying to pivot right now, use all-star lanes, which I'm appreciative of them. A lot of our fundraising will be happening through that bowling center, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, as for right now, we're not able to use our home center, and it's been like that for the past 3 years. So
yeah, well, hopefully that'll change. Call those digits.
Yeah.
Call those digits and say, look, we had Coach Rogers on. She's a product of Southern University, played both for him. Let's kind of give the help. And someone in the chat room was saying $100 a frame or something. See if we can pull that up about a fundraising part. Yeah.
I can definitely say that with having a home center, similar to the basketball team having their court, football team having their field, soccer, softball, tennis, all of them have their own designated spaces, and that's great. Even the track team, of course, it's a union thing. But with us, when I came into the Southern my freshman and sophomore year, we used the Union Bowling Center. We did still go to All-Star Lanes only on the weekends to get the sports shot practice. But as for during the week, it's very, very important that you're able to have that flexibility with what time you're able to practice. Like we would have 7 a.m. practices. We can't do that at All-Star Lanes. All-Star, their business. So we have to really work within their schedule, and many times it's a class schedule. It's also their league schedule. It's a lot that goes into that. So yes, I'm looking to get as much support as possible to get our Union Bowling Center running, and to possibly to really gain ownership or part ownership of it, since we do have a NCAA Division I team. So we need that. We do need that.
And you guys have been successful. With the program. And so that's another thing that's on your side. So I think that's the push that needs to be done. We know college athletics is forever changing. It's expensive. You got costs. And we know how the economy is. Some on the other side says it's okay. No, it's not. And so when you're looking at, traveling and gas, Willard Brown is an AD. He's been an AD. He's a hardliner now, but if we can get him to come on board, we know we can get things. We can get things done quickly. Well, let me go back. Anybody else has a question?
Yeah, I do, Coach. As a bowler myself, I appreciate that the job that you do, and as a person that's kind of connected with the bowling center I have here in Cleveland and Clinton, Mississippi. Bowling. Yeah, in Indian Lanes in Clinton, they have high school teams that come and compete there. Running a bowling center and improving a bowling center is not cheap. Your lanes have to be certified and all of that. So it is. I mean, just talking about it just it's not enough. It requires a ton of money. Every pin costs a lot of money to condition the lane. So I do understand that. Just talk about the sports. You talked about a sports shot and a house shot for people who might not know what that is. I know what that's about, but a lot of people might not know what that's about. Talk about that.
So with the house shot, if you were to go to a bowling alley right now, most likely they have a house shot down, whether it's fresh or whether it's old. With the house shot, you have a lot more room for forgiveness. So if you were to throw the ball and it, let's say, hit the 5 board, that's all the way to the right, it's going to come back. It has a big chance of coming back, just to put it in simpler terms, because the oil that's put out on the lanes, they have different volumes, different milliliters, units of oil that's put out. With the house shot, it's not as many units, so it's thinner. It's a thinner coat, so it's going to have a lot more forgiveness. As with sport shot, those shots are really tailored. Like if I were to bring up a sports shot, like a pattern right now, you would see that there are different units of oil across each board. Literally,
Whoa.
So it's almost like you have to see it before you're actually playing on, because you just go out there, you can't see it from the naked eye. Really, you can see that there's like a gloss. You can't see like the actual thickness of it on the lane though. So that really does affect the reactions from the balls. So many times when you have more units of oil, you want to start off with like something with a surface. I'm not even going to necessarily say a solid, which is going to pick up a little bit sooner than a pearl reactive ball, but you want to use something with surface so you can counter that oil. It's like every time that surface, like an abalone pad, it makes the ball rough. Once that ball rolls into the lane and it's a lot of oil, you want to try to counter your speed a little bit so it can have time to react. But with that surface on the ball, it's going to start picking up oil. It's going to start just gradually grabbing the oil off the lane, so it breaks that pattern down a little bit. So then you can start using not even necessarily weaker equipment, but just something that's not as aggressive on the lane. But that's very important because it's not as much. I'm not even saying not as much. It's not room for forgiveness. So when practicing for sports shots, which is all they bowl on, that's from October to March/April. That's all they bowl on. Even with the professional tour, the Professional Bowling Association, the Professional Women's Bowling Association, that's all they bowl on a sports shot. Now, of course, the units of oil can fluctuate. They can go up or down, and they can also be good or bad for you. But it's also good to practice on consistency for these patterns, because you can't just say, oh, I'm going to throw it here and it's going to strike. Okay, but if you throw it a couple boards to the right of that, it might just go in the gutter. Okay, so
I think that's what happened to me.
May slide out and chop off 2 off the right. So it's very tough. It's oil though. With sports shots, a lot more oil, so it's very slick. So the balls that's coming on the lane, like the bowling balls that's coming on the lane, they're just sliding. It's like sliding. So that's why you want to use surface with a lot of sports shots, most likely. Just depending on what it is. I'm not gonna say all the time, but depending on what it is, most likely we start with some surface, break the pattern down, and then start changing equipment as the pattern breaks down. So
Charles, I think I could use that as an excuse now. It was
now, Willa, did you notice that Charles and Carlos, they knew everything she was talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then, like I said, I worked 5 years, and that leads me to when you're out of house or you're going to different centers. We had where I worked at, it was the synthetic lanes, but wood lanes. Do you run up into that now? Since I've been out of the industry for a long time, it's more synthetic, and boy, I know from maintenance standpoints, when you have a wooden lane down, you gotta have a lot of maintenance on the wood lane.
Yes. Yeah. I really won't go too deep into it because wood lanes, it's like you said, they require a lot more maintenance, and many times for me, if you were to put the same oil pattern out on a wood lane versus a synthetic lane, the reaction is going to be different. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
It's because of the type of lane. So, but pretty much the collegiate bowling, they mostly, I haven't seen wood lanes in a while. I can't lie.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah.
I like the synthetic lanes actually.
Yeah.
You know, but the wood lane.
Hey, Carlos, one thing that you all should look at Southern, go through student activities to try to get the lane.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yep, go through. I promise you now, you think you have more success if you go through student activities to try to get your bowling lanes. In other words, let them put them in, and then all they have to do is designate times for the bowling team, and you can get it done that way, because a lot of times those educational dollars can be used for that, but it cannot just be used for the bowling team or for athletics, rather.
Well, yes.
What do you say, Coach Rogers?
A little bit into depth with that. So the students are charged for the bowling center. all year.
Through their fees, yeah.
Well, they charge an athletic fee, which covers all the sports. So it's just not a bowling fee. It's a fee for all athletics.
Student
And so,
activity
like
fee,
Coach
yeah.
Petaway was saying, that, if you go through student affairs, because that's an auxiliary service, they have monies that you would not believe. And they can take those monies and do those things under the auspices of, well, we're doing this for regular students.
Right.
But they include you all in the planning, okay, so that, let's say 4 of the lanes, let's say it's an 8-lane or a 10-lane facility. 4 or 5 of those lanes could be dedicated just for athletics and be done in the manner that you all need for them to be done, in terms of the oil you were talking about, things of that nature, to make them competitive worthy.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So, that's what Coach Petaway was pretty much saying. You want to go through student affairs because they got money you would not think of, whereas athletics right now, they could just only pretty much nickel and dime you.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing, and then Wheeler, what about going through physical education and add a bowling class? Now,
and they probably already have a bowling class.
That's
probably already in existence. Yeah.
Well, they need lanes. They need lanes for those students.
Yeah, but they not. When you talk about bowling class, Coach Petaway, you're not talking about doing things in an athletic, competitive nature. So they would just lay down wood just to be laying it down, or put a surface down just to be laying it down, and all that sort of things. They wouldn't be concentrating on making it competitive.
Right.
Not that easy. It's not that easy to do. You got to get PBA, or you got to get professionals in there to make sure that you have the right shot out there, and even the lanes, because the lanes need to be certified too. To get lane certified, they bring a piece of equipment in and they run it up and down your lane with a computer to make sure that the shot is what it needs to be. And I think Coach could definitely speak to that, in terms of how that goes. And that's not something that's just willy-nilly done either.
Yeah, but it's a good starting point, though.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that. I would definitely.
Congratulations, Coach, and we look forward to seeing you, especially if you make a trip to Huntsville. If you come to A&M, I'll see you.
Look, we were actually just there earlier this year for the SWAC roundup.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does the schedule look like for this upcoming season?
So this season we have 8 tournaments total. Baton Rouge will be seeing us a lot more this year, which is great. So with the bowling schedule, many of the tournaments are away. No matter what school you're at, a lot of the tournaments are away. So people will ask us, when is the home game? You will only have a home game unless you have a home tournament. And sometimes it's just not feasible within the schedule, but we're getting that back up and running. Anyways, but this year, starting in October, we will be going to Harahan, Louisiana for the 2-lane tournament. That's the start of us. Then during Halloween weekend, we are going to Orlando, Florida for a invitational hosted by Sacred Heart University. In November, we are going to Cat Clash, which is Sam Houston University. They have their tournament in Houston, Texas. And then going back into the spring, we have SWAC play. So the girls we will have the SWAC roundup in Baton Rouge at All-Star Lanes. And then we will have a second roundup in Montgomery, Alabama, hosted by ASU. Then the third tournament for the spring will be the TNBA Invitational, hosted by Jackson State University. It will be here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at All-Star Lanes again. So all of our Jaguar supporters, January and February, we're going to be home. So look forward to that. And then we'll be going to Smyrna, Tennessee, the Vanderbilt tournament, and we will end off our season with the SWAC championship, and looking forward to the NCAA.
Where's that SWAC championship going to be held at? What
The
location?
SWAC championship is in Arlington, Texas. I can provide an actual schedule, but I just kind of ran through it. But the SWAC championship is in Arlington, Texas at the International Training and Research Center. That's where a lot of the major trainings actually happen for a lot of professional bowlers. But yeah, it's been hosted there for the past, I know, at least 7 years. So,
well, that'd be an opportunity. I'm going to definitely get out in January and February, and maybe I'll learn a thing or two.
For the Baton Rouge tournaments, you can mark your calendars January 15th through the 17th, Friday through Sunday. That'll be the SWAC East Roundup that we're hosting. And then the TNBA Open, which is also at All-Star Lanes, February 12th through the 14th. So nearly a month apart. Yep.
I'm going to get some of that action in. Maybe through you guys, I can get rid of that bad feeling of throwing two gutter balls when you only needed 4 pins. That was just horrible. But I'm going to get over that. Well, Coach Rogers, if anything, the Carlos Brown Show can do help getting the word out, advertising. Just let us know. It has been a pleasure to talk with you. And once again, congratulations. And on this show, we talk about people getting opportunities who've gone through the system, did the process, and now they're rewarded becoming and leading a program. I wish much success to you and your staff. Oh, quickly, do you have a staff that you could talk about?
No, it's just me this year.
Okay, just this year. Okay. That's another thing. I'm going to make a note of that. I'm going to be making some phone calls.
Yes.
Call those digits. And if they don't answer, I'm not going to leave a voicemail. I'm going to call back again.
Okay.
It's starting right after this show.
Thank you.
But have a great weekend. We appreciate you, and we'll be following you. All right.
I appreciate you guys as well. Have a great
Take care,
day. Go
Coach.
Jags.
All right. Go Jag. That's right. Plug. Dun, 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 dun. I'm getting fired up, Charles. She fired me up. Football, basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, Coach Johnson, quickly. Brian Fulford. And they're going to be in Orlando, Brian. Do you have the Coach Johnson's basketball information? And then we'll have a closing, and then we're out. I'm putting a lot of pressure on Brian. He's good. Oh, he's good.
Elite Camp, $75, and boy, that's August the 23rd. That should be a good one.
Yes, sir. We're going to try to sponsor. I know we had a couple of players from Bruley High School last year, and I think they made it to the state finals. That helps, right, Coach Fedaway, and they recruit.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So you see it, $75, grades 9 through 12, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday, August 23rd. Register now. Quick closing comments.
I look forward to next week.
Oh, boy, that was quick. Wheeler?
Want to see how this football thing progresses, especially in terms of the going back to 2022 for eligibility and all that sort of thing. Anxious to see how many schools jump on that train, and just ready for football season to start, period.
And since some rain, Wheeler, I know it was raining when you were first came on the show. I'm jealous. Charles?
Well, some breaking news yesterday. I guess we'll talk about it next week. All Quarters hired a basketball general manager, Monte Ellis.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about that. A lot of people are excited about it. But then a hardliner like Wheeler Brown called me and said, "What are we doing?" And so, somebody did call me and say, "What are we doing?" So that's a whole other conversation. I'm sure
that's right.
He was hired, people saying the same thing. So we're in a whole new revolution right now.
Well, I'm going to be brief. Can you believe that? 6 p.m. Scrimmage tonight, 6 p.m. TJ Brown will join us next week to give us details on that. I'm excited. I'm adding band music to the show. I'm even adding the sonic boom again.
Oh.
And the human jukebox. We're gonna add. We don't have the Marching Storm. We're gonna get them on, and also the Ocean of Soul. I like to spread the band love around. Thanks to Brian Fulk for the bang up job. Again, support the Black College Sports Network. In the chat room, we appreciate you. Until next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.